Good morning, everybody. I welcome every viewer and attendee of our 69th Wednesday weekly session of learning, and cumulatively, it's our 2718th session, held and hosted by the HCFI team under the acclaimed and exalted banner of Dr. K.K. Agarwal, a man who showed us the path through his teachings, and we are trying our level best to tread in his footsteps. His words and teachings are immortal and still vividly echo in our ears. Dr. Agarwal emphatically emphasized the importance of good nutrition and good eating habits. His Etika Funda explains and highlights the message in layman's terms. He would repeatedly tell his patients to keep their weight in check and BMIs in control, and abolish the three whites from their diet. That was sugar, rice, and white flour, chini, chawal, and maida. He enforced the consumption of a balanced diet, which included all 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and white, and all 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. Moderation and portion control were essential and are essential. Take time to chew every morsel so the brain can gauge the satiation signal. So today's topic is about different models of nutrition for our well-being. We would have a slide of Dr. Agarwal's to start with, and then I would like to introduce the first speaker. Ritu, can you start the slide, please?
Namaskar, I am Dr. K.K. Agarwal. What is the easiest way to remember a balanced diet? The easiest way to remember is to match all 7 colors and 6 tastes in diet every time you eat. So every day you should start looking at your diet and see whether I am getting all the 7 colors and all the 6 tastes. The 7 colors, every color is a vitamin. We know red gives you beta carotene. We know red gives you lycopene. The green gives you beta carotene, and the citrus fruit gives you vitamin C, etc. So therefore, it is important for us to get all the 7 colors in right. Similarly, we should get all the 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salt, astringent, pungent, and bitter. Sweets are all carbohydrates, the milk, the rice. Sour is anything which is fermented or which is sour in taste, and salty is anything which has a salt or a sodium or a potassium into it. Sweet, sour, and salt, they build the human being. They are nourishing. Astringent is anything which has taste of a pulses. Pungent is the green pepper, red pepper, and the black pepper. And bitter is anything which is green. Astringent, pungent, and bitter, they reduce weight, they are dehydrating, and they are drying in characters. If you have a combination, that is the right diet. So if you want to talk about balanced diet, have a variety of food with all 7 colors and 6 tastes, and believe in moderation. Thank you.
Thank you. That was extremely, it touches our hearts. So Dr. Agarwal, we miss you so much. So anyways, our first speaker is Miss Ruchika Danwar, who is a health educator under the HCFI banner and is a multifaceted personality. She's a holistic health coach, plant-based nutritionist, yoga and nature cure therapist, ultra marathon runner, and founder of Our Health and Wellness. She has pursued her plant-based nutrition studies from Cornell University, is a member of International Institute of Maha-Yoga and National Hygiene, Master of Science of Yoga from Savasya University, yoga teacher and advanced teacher from Sivanda Vedanta Center. So I hope I pronounced everything well. Welcome and start your session, Ms. Ruchika. It's all yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the HCFI team for giving me the opportunity to share my learnings with each one of you. So I would start off with the presentation. Yeah. Can you see the screen? Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So here's a little bit of introduction about myself, which Reni ji just did. Moving on. What is holistic nutrition? So it is basically back-to-back approach when we are looking at not just one aspect of health, but also your emotional, your physical, your lifestyle, your nutrition habits. All of this together, put together, is what forms our health. And now let me introduce you to the yogic concept of Pancha Mahabhutas. Panch means 5, Maha means great, and Bhutas mean which exists. So everything as per the yogic philosophy, everything in this universe is made up of the 5 elements, whether it's a living thing, a non-living thing, and including us human beings. We are all made up of the 5 elements. Now, what are these 5 elements? All the creation is made up of the 5 elements in different proportions, which is the space, which is also referred to as ether, fire, air, water, and earth. Everything. So even our human body is made up of these 5 elements. Now, as we said, human body is made up of these 5 elements. We are 72% water, 12% earth, 6% air, 4% fire, and the rest is ether. Ether, or the space element, is something which can be enhanced. So here I have mentioned about how earth forms. The earth element forms the teeth, nails, bones. Water is the saliva, the blood, the sweat. Fire in terms of hunger, in terms of thirst, in terms of vision. Air is all for our breathing, expansion and contraction of the lungs. Now, the space element is the one which is the most subtlest element through which light radiation, radio frequencies, all of that enter our bodies. Now, what happens if when we fall sick? Since we are made up of these 5 elements, so naturally, if we fall sick, means there is a disbalance in these elements of nature, either of the 5 elements. So when we have a disbalance of water, we have cold, we have sinus, we have blood clotting. When it is with earth, we have weakness in the body, there is a lack of calcium in the body, or we are either they're going obese, or there's weight loss. When there is fire element disbalance in the body, what happens? We have inflammation in the skin. We can have fever, either excess hyperacidity or excessive sweating in the body. What happens when there is an air disbalance? We have either dry skin, we have blood pressure problems, lung disorders. It could lead to bloating or constipation. Space element. We could have thyroid problems, throat problems, speech disorders, epilepsy diseases. Now we'll talk about each one of them. Ether, the space, very, very important. This is the most subtlest and the most important one. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time explaining the ether element. Now, how do we create space element into our system? The first one, mindful excretion. Today, majority of the people are suffering with IBS or with constipation. And we still keep feeding our system even without removing out the waste from our body. We are not letting there be space into our system. So it's very important to first sort that out. Mindful excretion, focus on the particular activity. A lot of people are either with their phones when they are in the washroom or with the newspapers. So we're not even connecting with our body and excreting properly. The other important way to create space element is eating only on keen hunger. We are not robots that we need to eat with time, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. No. Eating when we are hungry, when there is keen hunger. And how do we come to know when there is keen hunger? Is when we connect with our body, when we eat mindfully. When I say we eat mindfully, that means when we are eating, we are focusing only on the job of eating our food. We are not multitasking at that time. We are spending time with the food, getting a feel of the texture of the food, the aroma of the food, engaging our senses while we are consuming food, chewing our food very slowly. Each bite we need to chew well in our mouth before we gulp it down our throat. It's very important to chew your food well because digestion begins in the mouth. Then the other important thing is eating right quantity of food. How do we ensure we are eating right quantity of food? When I'm mindfully eating, when I'm connecting with my body, when I'm focusing on my eating at that time. My body, my stomach gives me signals or lets me know when the body is full. When we chew our food well and consume, we get the feeling of satisfaction also when with the food, that I am full now. The other important aspect is decluttering, be it the body, be it the mind, or the space around us. So here I have a pic of a very cluttered space. Our mind is going to be so much distracted in such a place. When you have decluttered the space, made a clean surrounding, our mind is also better equipped to do better tasks. We can focus on our tasks better. For our mind, decluttering happens through the process of meditation. Meditation helps to clear our mind, helps us to be in the present moment. Another important aspect of the space element is to eat your dinner early. A lot of us with the urban lifestyle and hectic schedules, we end up eating dinner way beyond the time that is the correct one. So ideally, eating dinner by sunset or latest by 8 p.m. is the best. The more you delay your dinner, the more the body is taxed for the process of digestion. The last and the most important one is the space element. When in the space element is fasting. Now, fasting is a magical tool which has been underutilized. I'm going to dive deep and explain a little more about fasting. So here, fasting is the first principle of medicine. And even in our Ayurvedic texts, they talk about fasting as Langanam Param Aushadam, which means fasting is the greatest medicine. In 2016, a Japanese cell biologist, Dr. Oshumi, won the Nobel Prize when he discovered the mechanism of autophagy, which happens when you are fasting. So the body cleans out the damaged cells and toxins and replaces it with newer, healthier cells. It also helps in counteracting aging. Here are some of the benefits of fasting that you would get. Better heart rate, better blood pressure, weight loss, protects heart diseases, improves learning and memory. It also helps to keep cancer risk at bay. Here are the various fasting benefits. There are various types of fasting that we've heard about. The intermittent fasting, warrior diet, dry fasting, OMAD, liquid fasting, water fasting. Well, you could pick up any that works for you, but go slow on the fasting. Intermittent fasting is typically when your cycle for fasting is fasting and eating is anything between 12 hours to 16 hours. So which is a 12-hour or a 16-hour fasting window, and the other remaining 8 hours would be where you would eat your meals. Dry fasting is the toughest one and is not advisable for places, especially like India, where we are in a hot and humid climate. A lot of people stick to one meal a day also when they are looking at typically weight loss. So fasting should always be done under supervision if you are very new to it. These are just a few types of fasting that are available. All right, we'll move to the next element, which is the air element. Now, how do we get the air element is also by air basking, which is wearing free-flowing cotton clothing, exposing our skin to the fresh air so that there is air circulation through the skin. Skin is one of the biggest sense organs that we have, and it's very important for the skin to be able to breathe. The second way is by pranayama practice. What does it do? It provides oxygen, it eliminates the toxins from the body, and pranayama practice also helps us to calm our minds and keep it in balance. The next element is the fire, which is we get through sunlight. And unfortunately, we being in a tropical country, but a lot of us have a vitamin D deficiency today because we are not doing sunbathing. Very, very important. Vitamin D is, we get it naturally from the sun. The body produces vitamin D when the body is exposed to sun. Sunlight has a direct impact on our mental health, on our physical health, our bones. It improves the mood, it improves our sleeping pattern, helps to reduce the blood pressure. So sunlight is the basic source of light and reason for life being there on our planet. The next element is the water element. Now, how do we get enough water for our diet? First is consuming enough water, making sure we are consuming the needed water that we require for our day-to-day activities. We are not dehydrating ourselves, especially in the summer season. It is very important to keep yourself hydrated well. The other and the most important source is eating foods which are rich in water, rather than having foods which are very dense and dehydrating for the body. So for example, spinach, cucumber, watermelon, all the fruits, they are rich in water. We need to increase the intake of these foods which are rich in water so that our body is well hydrated. This water, which we get from fruits and vegetables, is the best form of water that we can get for our system. The other third way is cold showers, not taking a bath with very hot water. Cold showers help to regulate the temperature of the body. The next element is the earth element, and which is from the earth element is what we all consume, our food. Food which is grown, this is real food. Food which is grown on the soil. Food which is not manufactured in plants, in factories, that is not real food. Food for our well-being is the one that we get from the nature, which is grown on soil. What are the qualities of food? Food is something which has life, which is through plants and through plants that we get, not food which is packaged and sold. That is not a real food. Food is something which has water, as we just discussed, whereas fruits and vegetables have a lot of water content in them. Food which we should include are whole foods, not processed foods. So, for example, foods like, maida and other processed foods, bakery items, those are not real food. They do a lot of harm to our body. It is important to consume whole foods, whole grains. pulses, cereals, grains, whole wheat. These are whole foods. And the last one is real foods are plant-based foods. Artificially manufactured foods are not real foods and are unfit for human consumption. The next and very important slide is how a meal plate of an individual should look like, your meals. So a meal plate, I've divided it into 4 portions. The first portion is your grains. What are the grains we consume? Your wheat, your rice, rava, some millets like ragi or jowar or bajra. That should constitute 25% of your plate. The other, and this is what gives you your carbohydrates. So we are looking at a meal plate which is balanced. Now coming to my grams and dals, include all grams and all dals. Grams like your chana, your rajma, your lopia, all the dals, to your arhar, your moong, your chana dal, all the dals that are available, include a variety of dals, which gives you your protein. So grains and grams constitute 50% of your meal. The other 50% is your vegetables and greens. The 25% here that I'm talking about is the very, very important one, which a lot of us tend to neglect, is the raw vegetables and greens. Raw vegetables and greens are our salads. So it's very important to have your meal as 25% in the raw form. Raw vegetables and greens are the ones which are packed with nutrition, with all the vitamins, minerals, everything that the body needs. Because what happens is when we are cooking our food, a lot of the vitamins and minerals are lost in the process of cooking or overcooking, as sometimes we are not cooking our food the right way. So a lot of nutrients are missed out. But when we include these raw vegetables and greens into our diet, we will ensure that we are not losing out on any vitamins and minerals. The last portion is our cooked vegetables and greens. Ensure they are cooked with minimal oil. They are not overcooked. Use simpler methods of cooking, like maybe steaming or just sauteing your vegetables rather than really deep frying. You could look at an option of baking them also. So if you notice in this plate, 50% is actually your vegetables. That is where your nutrition is coming from. And what kind of vegetables to include? Include all the local seasonal vegetables of that particular season. Do not go for all fancy stuff. Eat food which is local to your area. That is what will really help. Now, if you notice, I have not included fruits in your meal plate. Fruits is separate. Fruits should not be consumed with your meal. Fruits have a different digestion time. We do not mix our fruits with the meal. So fruits should always be consumed separately. But we need to include a good portion of fruits as well in our body. The next slide I'll move to. Here. So this is the choice of food that we have. Every time, remember, every time you are eating, you are either feeding a disease or you are fighting away from it, fighting it. So the choice is yours in the kind of food that is available, whether you want to feed a disease or fight it. The left-hand side obviously talks about where we are fighting the disease, and the right side talks about feeding the disease. So this is real food. This is junk food. The next slide I'll move to. Finally, what is holistic health? Where we have our body, mind, and spirit in union. There is diet, there is, harmony in your relationships. You have a purpose in life. For mind, we have a positive mind. We are resting well also. For our body, we are providing the right diet and right exercise. That is what covers the holistic health. Thank you. Rini, you are on mute.
Thank you, Ruchika. That was a brilliant presentation. I would now welcome our second guest for the evening. The morning is Dr. KK Kalra, who's the director of HCFI and has certified and taught all of us as health educators. He has taught us the basics of COVID and other health-related issues, which empower us to be more in control of our bodies and ailments related to them. He's a renowned physician and knows the importance of good nutrition, which starts from childhood and affects us throughout our lives. So kindly start the session, sir. The platform's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Reniji. A well-balanced diet is very, very important for our health. Already we have heard Ms. Davar, she talked about holistic approach, considering all the elements, 5 elements. And now from a modern system of medicine point of view, because normally what we see nowadays, different varieties of food available, the junk or the fast food. Dr. Agarwal used to call the fast food as not typically equal to junk food. He said which can be without any cooking or time. You can eat fast like a banana or apple or some dry fruits like that. Otherwise, people nowadays we see, even including children and adults, everybody is fond of going to restaurants or they visit the fast food restaurants, and almost daily they consume this junk food like pizzas, pastas, hamburgers, cakes, like that. And definitely some of these items may be very, very rich in calories, but they are very high in fats and they are not nutritionally balanced. They are harmful because they lack some of the important component of the diet which we should eat daily. And we need to propagate this healthy, balanced diet from early in the life. When we see when a child is born, we say we encourage breastfeeding exclusively for 6 months and to continue for till age of 2 years. Because breast milk is one of the best food available for babies. It is very, very much nutritious and full of all the components which we require in our daily diets, including immune. The breastfeeding, the breast milk also improves the immunity of the babies. Nowadays, during the COVID era, we know we had faced the first wave. Now we are just in the stage of second wave, which is passing through. Most of the time, it is lockdown. Children and adults, everyone, they're confined into their homes and hardly any physical activity. Schools are closed, colleges are closed, everybody is sitting at home, doing work from home or online, digital, everything, learnings, and physical activity is hardly there. And as a result, especially the children, there are 2 types of problem children are facing during COVID time. One group who are reasonably middle class or upper middle. Now children are continuously, most of the time they are spending on TV or in smartphones or some other digital platforms. And while watching these devices, they are eating. As a result, they do not even know if their stomach is full. They keep on eating. As a result, the overweight or obesity. On the other hand, schools are closed, especially the other group, section society, which are little poor or in the rural areas where schools are closed. The national midday meal program is closed. It lasts almost 1.5 years. Already in our India, in our country, we know children malnourished, malnutrition is a big challenge, for which a national program has been started as a midday school meals, so that children get nutritious and all supplements the school time to supplement their daily dietary requirements. Now, school being closed for almost more than a year, these children are not getting the midday meals. As a result, the further underweight and malnutrition is further aggravated. This is a big challenge. So, under these circumstances and otherwise also, we must adopt to healthy lifestyle, and we must eat, as already Madam has said, the seasonal, locally grown, fresh vegetables and fruits should be consumed. And we know for our well-being and health, a balanced diet is very, very important for the growth and development of especially a child and even adult to sustain and maintain weight, improve energy levels, and lower risk of illness. A various component of our nutrition or a diet, we say, they are the form of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals, and water. The carbohydrate should not exceed more than 50 to 60% of the daily calories intake, and proteins around 20 to 25%, and fats around 15 to 20%, then mineral and water. And some key facts about a healthy diet. As per WHO, a healthy diet helps to protect against malnutrition in all its forms, and as well as it improves the non-communicable diseases. It controls like diabetes, heart diseases, stroke and cancers. Unhealthy diet and lack of physical activity are the leading global risk to the health. Healthy dietary practices early in the life, the breastfeeding, foster healthy growth and improves the cognitive development in the children, and may have long-term benefits like reducing the risk of becoming overweight or obese and becoming and developing non-communicable diseases later in the life. Energy intake, what we consume, should be in balance with the energy expenditure. It is very, very important. To avoid unhealthy weight gain, total fats should not exceed 30% of the total energy intake per day. And all this junk food, which people, even children and adults, they're very fond of, and many of these families, they visit restaurants almost every second day, very frequently. And all these restaurant foods or this junk food or a fast foods, they are rich in fats. They are very, very harmful. They increase the bad cholesterol level. And it is advised that intake of saturated fat, because fats are different types: saturated fats, unsaturated fats, and monosaturated fats, and trans fats. So out of these, saturated fat should be less than, as per American Heart Association, less than 7% of the energy intake, with a shift in the fat consumption away from saturated fats. Nowadays, polyunsaturated fat consumption is preferred over saturated fat. It means, rather, Dr. Agarwal used to say, you keep on changing your daily or monthly basis consumption of your fats, like polyunsaturated fats, the form of palm oil, or even sunflower oil or corn oil, or whatever oil we are using in our kitchen. So we should not restrict ourselves to one brand. Rather, it is better every month keep on rotating the different type of oils. And per month, not more than half a kg per person. That should be the consumption of these oils in a kitchen. And limiting the intake of free sugars is very important to less than 10% of the total energy intake per day. This is a part of the healthy diet. And a further reduction to less than 5% of the total energy intake is suggested for additional health benefits. So all these added sugars, syrups, or other sweeteners, we need to restrict in our daily diet. And also the salt, normally we are in habit of taking 8 to 10 grams of salt in our daily diets. But it is advised the salt intake should be limited to less than 5 grams per day, which is equivalent to sodium intake of less than 2 grams per day. This much salt helps to prevent hypertension and reduce the risk of heart diseases and stroke in adult population. So, in an average sedentary adult male, total calories consumption should be roughly around 2,500. Depend upon the activity, further we can decrease or increase the calories. In an average female, it is the intake advice is 2,000 calories. And generally protein intake from children to even elderly, on a rough average, we can say 1 gram per kg. That should be the protein consumption in our daily diet. So there are certain food items which are called anti-inflammatory. And they should be encouraged in our daily diets. These anti-inflammatory, because Dr. K.K. Agarwal to believe, and he used to teach us the inflammatory diets are food item and anti-inflammatory. That's why he used to say, आपके daily diet में जो है, सातों इंद्रधनुष के कलर जो होते हैं और 6 के 6 टेस्ट, उन सब का कॉम्बिनेशन जो है वो आपके डेली डाइट प्लेट्स में होना चाहिए. और कड़वा एंड कसेला is good for to reduce inflammation, especially in the COVID time, which is going on, because COVID is known to produce a lot of inflammation. It's immunoinflammation as well as thromboinflammation. It also produced by the COVID, we all know. So anti-inflammatory food items the list I can just enumerate all kind of berries, whether it's blackberries, blueberries, or other berries, fatty fish, fat fish, broccoli, avocados, green tea, all kind of peppers or chilies, mushrooms, grapes, tomatoes, turmeric, and olive oil, and dark chocolates, cherries, beans, and nuts. These are the list of items which have anti-inflammatory properties. And all the junk food we take, whether it is a pizza or a hamburger, or whether it is a pasta, cakes, even biscuits, all these are inflammatory. So we must restrict or avoid these kind of inflammatory foods in our diets daily. So good amount of exercises, yoga as well as physical exercises are very good for as anti-inflammatory, because we need to develop our lifestyle has to be towards that anti-inflammatory, whether it's a diet or other things. We must reduce inflammation going on. And the holistic approach already Madam Dawar has explained very beautifully. I will end here with any now question answers. Is over to Reni.
Thank you, Dr. Kalra. That was a good session. We got to learn a lot. And my first question is here, somebody has put up that, what about people who can't eat raw food? So what would you say that if people who have celiac disease and people who have Crohn's disease, they have digestion problems? So what do you say, Ms. Dangbar?
Yeah, for a celiac disease, definitely gluten-free diets are nowadays available. Or we can prepare at our home. Earlier, when I remember, when I used to practice in the pediatric gastroenterology, in the market, gluten-free diets were not freely available. And we used to advise in your family kitchen from the local market what kind of foods on other items which are gluten-free, like even toothpaste, various sausages we consume daily in our meals. They also have some kind of a gluten, which is not good for these kind of patients, especially the celiac disease patients. So definitely certain diseases are there where specific type of diets are advised. And clear good example is the celiac, which I already enumerated. And what was your next question, madam?
Radhika,
Can I
so
just add, sorry, can I just add to the celiac where they said if they cannot consume raw, what they can do is include more steamed vegetables. Steaming also maintains the nutrients of the food. They can include more soups in the diet. If they cannot consume raw, soups also are very, very healthy. So they need to up their soups and steamed vegetables. And as Dr. Kalra also mentioned, they need to introduce other grains and millets like our jowar, ragi, which are very, very good for people who are suffering from celiac
disease. Yeah. So definitely raw foods are good. And there should be actually, general principle is avoid deep frying. Absolutely. So she rightly said, boiled or steaming of vegetables and even rice, that is a better way rather than cooking vegetables and other meals as a deep frying or things. Even baking, in addition to this boiling and steaming, even sometime baking may be a better, but we must avoid deep frying of food items.
Okay, my next question to you, Radhika, is that you emphasize on fasting. What about people who have to take medication? What do you suggest to do those, who have to take medicine and they cannot live? Those are life-saving drugs for them. So what do you tell them?
So first, we need to fix what they are consuming, right? The day-to-day pattern, what it is. Everybody can't jump into fasting. So before that, you fix what's going into your plate day in and day out to improve your health. And that's when later you slowly introduce intermittent fasting. What you can definitely do is have an early dinner. So when you have an early dinner, say about 7 p.m., in the morning when you wake up by 7, automatically you have a 7-hour window without really struggling. So it's a little bit of changes in the lifestyle that you need to make. You get into that routine to give the body and the digestive system a break, rest for a little longer time, and then you build up on various other ways of fasting.
Okay.
Sure.
And there's another question which says, what is the significance of soaking lentils and grains before cooking? What does it do? Hang on, it says, so what does soaking does? Does it help when you soak all these lentils and legumes?
Yes, absolutely. See, they are very dense and they are full of protein. So when we soak it, they become, they are then easily cooked and easily digested by the body. See, if you do not soak, for example, our rajma and chana, when we don't soak it, the amount of time that is used to cook it, the amount of time that is spent is enormous. So imagine how much taxing it would be for our digestive system also. When cooking it, preparing it is taking so much of time. When we soak it, the cooking time also comes down. It becomes in a more simpler form for us to be digested by the body. It's very important to soak even your rice and all your dals and grams. Very, very important to soak. Today we have a lot of millets available. I don't know if you all are aware, like the foxtail millet, the kodo millet. These are the millets which were there earlier, but we had forgotten these grains and focusing only on the wheat. Now slowly we are bringing those back into our diet. Those are also packed with nutrition. We really need to soak our millets, otherwise they will not suit your palate. They will not suit your gut. So you need to soak your millets for at least 8 hours and then consume them.
You're right.
Dr.
I would like
Agarwal,
to add, probably soaking is also had in cleaning the pulses and these cereals.
which needs to be, it's a point of discussion later, and how to wash it and how to, clean the wax. And, because that is also, we don't want people to have, things going in the body. Rather than having a fiber, they get wax inside the body. So that's what the discussion point is. But yes, rightly said by Dr. Kalra, I think the fiber content in the peels are very important, which doesn't need to be taken out.
And for washing the vegetables and fruits, there's no chemical is required, additional chemical cleaning. Simply washing with rinsing with water, running water. And you said wax nowadays, some coating is there in fruits, especially the apple. A warm water may be used to wash these fruits. And I think there's no need to add any other chemical or a disinfectant to clean vegetables and fruits. In my view, is simple free running water washing with that is good enough to clean vegetables and fruits.
Another tip for washing your fruits and vegetables is take a new toothbrush and keep it in the kitchen, especially for apples. Just scrub it under the running water with that. And you can be rest assured it's good to use then with the peel.
So does anybody have any more questions regarding this Tarzan diet we are talking about? It's eating on the peels and seeds. So any other questions?
So I also want to add, I think I was listening when we were talking about stir frying and steaming and boiling. So I have realized over a period of time, what I have started doing is I use a rice cooker. I put a lot of vegetables on the first layer and put a water below, after washing it. And I had steamed the vegetables to eat at night. And whatever the content of the water remains, that becomes a very nice soup to drink. So you are not losing any of your nutrients in the soup. You are drinking the water as a soup, and the steam, the vegetables which are steamed. If you do a boiling on the vegetables, you first throw the water, and the boiled vegetables does not give you the taste and the texture of the content. When you steam it, it creates a very different texture which you like. And if you just add a little bit of black pepper and butter on it, it becomes very nice in the way you taste it. And the content which goes down becomes a soup for you. So this is what I do, and it is really appealing, when you eat it.
That's the Oriental way. All the Chinese and the Japanese eat like that. Even sushi is made in the same way. So
yeah, but they throw the water. I drink the water as well. The soup. Yeah,
that's good.
By the way, because the soup has a lot of taste in it. Because if you put about 10 vegetables, the content of the soup, the water which drops back, through the moisture, it has a very different taste.
So that's even more informative. And then someone is saying that, I don't know about that, but it says Washington apple and New Zealand apples is the best without wax. But don't you think this wax is edible wax? Because all the wax which goes, no, it's not edible wax.
No, because you never know what these people are using it to make it shining.
Okay.
So the question about oil, have you answered that? So this is one of the very important questions. Still oil, mustard oil, groundnut oil, or sunflower oil. Which one?
We explain now is go on cyclical changing the type of oil we use in the kitchen. What Dr. Agarwal used to say, definitely hydrogenated oils should be avoided. They are risky. They develop bad cholesterol. So it is the polyunsaturated fats, or we can say the various oils like sunflower oil or olive or other kind of whatever soybean oil we use. So we should keep on as a rotating every month. Even now there are some studies. Definitely dalda ghee we used to have earlier. That is very, very risky. Desi ghee is comparatively it's safer, and definitely we must avoid the hydrogenated oils, which means which solidified at room temperature. Those oils should be, or fats should be avoided.
Sir, there's a question by one of the health educators. It's regarding, it says, respected Dr. Sir, should a woman of 56 years need to stop warfarin before vaccine? Which vaccine should be taken, Covishield or Covaxin? Can you address that, please?
Both the vaccines are equally effective and safe. First part, please repeat the first part of the question.
She says that it's a 56-year-old lady and she's on warfarin. So should the medicine be stopped before taking the vaccine?
I don't think medicine need to be stopped. Continue the medications which any patient is taking for the comorbidities, and both the vaccines are safe and effective.
Okay. So this, I think, sums up with all the questions here. Let me just once again, is anybody, any hands up so we can, yes, Ashu Dhingra ji, you can ask, please.
डॉक्टर कालरा, जैसे आपने भी बोला देसी घी, तो देसी घी को कई लोग इतना फायदेमंद समझते हैं कि वो पराठे बनाते हैं तो उसमें भी देसी घी यूज करते हैं, उसका कोई फायदा होता होगा?
वो तो मैंने आपको रेशियो पहले ही बताया कि फैट डेली हमारा डाइट में कितना होना चाहिए. उसमें जो है अनसैचुरेटेड, सैचुरेटेड, ट्रांस फैट का रेशियो मैंने बता दिया. डेफिनेटली एक्सेस ऑफ एवरीथिंग इज बैड. अगर परांठों में इतना देसी घी लगा रहे हैं तो दैट इज अल्टीमेटली गोइंग टू हार्म यू.
Dr. Kalra, why is Desi ghee considered good for good health in India? I mean, I still cannot understand this logic.
इसका आंसर मैं अभी नहीं दे पाऊंगा. But there are, I remember the few studies also came compared to other oils we normally use in the kitchen, especially the butter. Definitely Desi ghee is better than butter.
Yeah.
Also, I think I need to add since the butter topic has come. So one is a real butter and the other one, you know, what's that?
Margarine.
Margarine. Yes. So it's a butter
that
light.
is very, very risky.
Yes. So a lot of places where you go and you see the butter has been used and it says the butter light. In fact, initially, you know, all these people started promoting the butter as like butter light is like a Coke light or, you know, Coke Diet Coke. So people started having a lot of focus on butter light, and then they don't realize that what is written behind it was a margarine, which is not good for health. If you really want to eat butter, then go for a real butter.
So margarine again is a trans fat type of one of the trans fats which are risky.
Fats, good fats to consume are avocados and coconut.
What
Those
about
are the good
fish oil? What about fish oil? Because that's hot healthy.
See, when you take oil, sorry, when you are talking about oil, it's processed. So to make 2 spoons of groundnut oil also, you need so much quantity of groundnuts to actually get 2 spoons of oil. So it is again processed. So when you're talking about good fats, which are good for the body, the best ones which are good fats are coconut and avocados. Include that in your diet. And if you're eating your steamed vegetables and soups, you're not taking fat, but you're taking fat, good fat. It just does wonders to the body.
There's a very cute question by KD Joshi. He asks, what about Amul butter? So he wants to know if that has to be discontinued.
That is again a type of a butter, which is
no, but it's Amul.
not advised to take that much too much.
So I think Dr. KK used to say a lot of times that whatever is in a refined form and a processed form should not be eaten. Like you should try to eat the first generation of the stuff, like even in the sugar. So, you know, there is a khan, there is, you know, then there is a shakkar is there, then there's a sugar is there, and then there is a good there. So he used to always say like the good is the first form, then it becomes a khan, then it becomes a shakkar, then it becomes the sugar. So sugar is probably the 4th or the 5th generation of the sweetness.
And that need to avoid it, yeah.
Yes. So you know, people used to come and ask questions that what about surfaceless sugar or, you know, all other sugars. So I always say, you know, you should forget about surfaceless or surfaceless or the regular sugar. Go for khan, go for shakkar, or go for even good. So that is the first form of sugar. Try to reduce salt intake, try to reduce oil intake, and try to reduce sugar from your life. Fruits itself has a natural sugar. You don't really need an artificial sugar in your life. You have whatever you eat has a sugar in it. That's an artificial sugar. If you do not eat sugar over a period of time, your body would not need a sugar. Sugar is just a form of pleasing your tongue. Your body does not need a sugar. A salt reduction is very important for your body because a limited salt is what is required. There is a component which how much salt you need in a day. But since we eat all those dal makhnis and all those things, they to influence the taste, they add a lot of salt in it. They add a lot of spices in it. So I have reduced like salt, sugar, oil in my thing. I really don't care which oil because my portion of oil is very less. Rather than deep frying it, you can use, I don't know if a lot of people have that pan tawa where, they can make appam. You can use those things to make pakoras and all that, or you can use air fryers, try to touch up with the oils. Those things adds up the value of the taste. You really don't need to deep fry it and eat it. And if you want to deep fry it, just eat it once in a month. That's nothing for you.
And then someone is asking about...
Yeah, Saurabh, is also important because a lot of studies regarding the trans fat, particularly you eat the samosa and all outside. I mean, same oil used 10 times. I mean, this is very, very dangerous. And because when I was in the department, we started this campaign, and particularly from the hotels and particularly restaurant and dhabas and all, the same oil 10 times. I mean, the multiple times they're using, and very, very dangerous. So I mean, this would be avoided for eating the outside. I mean, these things, unless a good restaurant and the standard quality they maintain and using the oil and once and then changing. There is these are very important for to avoid a trans fat.
Yeah.
Dr. Cholera, what about reheating oil? Does that make it rancid? Reheating and using the oil, someone is asking.
No, that is not advisable. Once only, whatever leftover oil should be disposed of.
We are staying in an Indian culture. We use we have a habit of using the t-shirt to wear it and then using it for pocha and then using it for all other stuff. So we keep using the stuff until the end. The life is over. We don't replace it. The things, we use every possible way. Jab tak uske pura wo nahi ho jata, we keep it using. So in terms of oil, it is very difficult for people to throw it. There is no way they will throw it. So we need a solution, So what I recommend is, if you want to really eat something, cook at home. You want to eat chola bhatura, don't take it outside because you do not know how many times that has been fried. You really cannot leave the chola bhatura or samosas. Try cooking at home. Try using an oil which is at least not cooked once, and then you can reuse that oil if you want to use it for purpose which probably will not go. You should not refry it. You can use it for chonk and all that, but very little oil. So at least you are saving. So the effort is there to save, rather than if you ask people to throw it. I don't know. I don't even think 1% of the population will throw an oil after reusing it, but that is advisable. Yeah.
And once you told Saurabh that sarson ka oil that can be reused, I think, for frying.
So sarson ka oil is very different from all other oil because at my house, when there is a fresh sarson ka oil, it smells. So in the Indian kitchens, what they do is first they burn this oil before they use it. So I really don't know the concept behind it and how does it affect. I think somebody can throw light on it. But sarson ka oil, a lot of people first before even use it, they heat it. And then they use it. So again, sarson ka oil is like, otherwise it smells. Even if you put it in a pickle, they first heat it, they burn it, and then they use it. So anybody has an idea on it?
Sir, I have little idea on it, but not very sure about it. I think there is a chemical bond in the oils. And when we, other oils, when we heat them, that chemical bond becomes, that doubles or triples. But in the mustard oil, I think it breaks down. So that's the reason when we, burn it, it becomes, instead of thickness, it becomes thin. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is particular. I think probably a reason behind it, but yes, a complete study needs to be done for it.
Yes, so sarson oil has been treated in a different family, I would say. It is also like a lot of people prefer cooking in sarson oil rather than other forms of oil, which probably may be a little healthy than the refined oils. So yes, there is a theory where people burn it before they use it, and they obviously, anything in excess is bad. So we should not recommend that. And I think we're extended the session. Reniji, we can close the session now. It's already 1 hour plus.
Okay, thank you, everybody. It was an extremely interactive and a lot of fun, just exchanging each other's views. And thank you, Dr. Kalra. Thank you, Ruchika, for an enlightening session. And thank you, Saurabh Agarwal. He's a director also, and Anil Kumar, Dr. Anil Kumar, for joining in. I thank each one of you. Just revisit this session again, and we will see you same time, same place next week. You have a wonderful day. Stay blessed.